See, we are all aware of our honorable Prime Minister talking Vikasit Bharat. If you want to have Vikasit Bharat, first step required is Surakshit Bharat. Unless Bharat is fully defended, strong enough to be strong and independent, you cannot go for Vikasit Bharat. So Surakshit Bharat, first step, Vikasit Bharat will follow.
Let us say if we are sourcing any components or parts from not very very friendly countries, then we need to ensure that they are safe, right? So while we do have neighbors that are manufacturing powerhouses and sometimes the supply chains are linked, the cyber physical layer, the cyber security layer is actually the very key element in ensuring that we get completely uncompromised and capable systems.
So thank you and welcome to Sangam Business. This is the third episode of Role of Make in India and Indian Entrepreneurs in the India-Pakistan conflict and the road ahead. We have with us Professor Dr. Prahlad Ramarao sir, who has been with DRDO. He is the founder of Akash program, very eminent and distinguished scientist. And the Government of India honored sir with Padam Shri in 2015. So thank you for joining us, sir, today. Then we have Professor Sudarshan Kumar from IIT Mumbai, Dean International Relations, Professor of Aerospace Engineering, a Tata Chair Professor. Thank you, Professor Kumar Saab, for joining us. I'll go to Dr. Prahlad Ramarao sir. Sir, can you just explain what has been, Akash missile system has been a big part of the Indian success story. So can you explain the main characteristics of Akash and how long was the cycle of duration and development? And how happy you are on this being a proven now game changer for India?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share with me. With Actually, I treat this as a very industry-oriented Sangam. I think academy industry fusion is to take place through the Sangam. That's why I was very happy because Sangam means fusion. Here, academy and industry will fuse together. So this is a great thing that is required to happen in India. This has happened in many countries. The academy industry work together. Most of the countries, at least the advanced countries, they go hand in hand for systems. And India is a little slow. We have in between academy and industry, there is a R&D, which is a separate entity. So this is the issue. But we now this government is looking at more and more academy industry direct partnership, and the R&D is going to look at really long term and high risk and probably game changing ideas, whereas the industry academy will do immediately what is required for the product oriented activities. So coming to Akash, we started in 1984 when Army Air Force were there to demand a good surface-to-air missile system. Because they were earlier depending on Russian and some from France, and that was then UK. And they said we want something futuristic. In the futuristic, they defined the two characteristics. One is it should be multiple target handling. That is, if the adversary launches 4 aircraft, 6 aircraft, 8 aircraft, we should be able to handle simultaneously all the 6 or 8 or 10 with the same ground control system, ground radar system, and the support system. The launcher will be separate, missiles will be separate. This is what they wanted. This is a big, tall order at that time because India had not done anything called multi-target handling system. But we took a challenge. Dr. Kalam was backing us up to the core, and he said, "Don't lose heart just because it's a very complex task. You will do it. You shall do it. I will be with you." So we took that challenge. We were a very young team at the time. We were only mostly most of the boys and girls are in their 20s, and we started working and there the task of the weapon system was supposed to be done by at least 12 laboratories across India. About 1,000 scientists and engineers and administrators and accountants were involved, 1,000 people, and they worked relentlessly for 15 years to say this system is ready. And there were a lot of people who were having pessimistic thoughts. No, no, this is too complex, and India has no base. Industry is not ready. Then academy doesn't know what is such a complex weapon system, and the team also is a little raw. There's no previous experience. I don't think it will happen. It will come like that. There were many negative thoughts, but thanks to Dr. Kalam, who had faith in our team, and our team in the Hyderabad, only about 30, 40 people. The rest of the 1,000 people were all over the country, and we used to travel every day, some station or other, to see the progress in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Agra, in Pune, in Calcutta, in Rajasthan. We go almost every week in some city to see the progress of the work, coordinate and solve. So at the end of 15 years, we are ready for Army and Air Force to test it in their own way. They have their own procedure for testing a system before accepting it for their use. So they told you come and show it. Then after 15 years, we showed. We took about 3 years to demonstrate various things. They want mobility trial, day firing, night firing, firing from the Rajasthan desert, firing, against one target, against multiple targets, against low altitude target, high altitude target, crossing target, you name it, they will ask. So we are supposed to show all the flights. Then we're happy that by 2000 we had finished all demonstrations and the orders followed.
Sir, I have, yeah, can I ask one question? Yeah, because it gives me a great deal of curiosity, and I think the people who will be listening, young entrepreneurs, students, as well as academia and MSMEs who are our audience here, this might be of good information. That's when the defense or the end user is asking for the trials, do they put all these characteristics, all these user cases in the beginning, or these requirements are told later on after the development have been done? And has the process changed over last 3 decades when we started developing, so that we can cut down on the development and the trial cycle, sir?
When the user gives what is known as in the Air Force is called ASQR, Air Staff Quality Requirements. Number one. In the Army is called GSQR, General Staff Quality Requirement. That means they will tell what are the specifications they're looking for. How altitude of flight, how many target, speed of the target, how much time is allowed for intercepting, what is the kill probability, how many missiles you launch per aircraft, then how much time it will take to fly, what is the speed, what is the maneuvering capability of the missile, what is the maneuvering capability of the target, everything is defined in the beginning. So that shows your specifications for which you have to design a missile system. Say, once that is done, then we go on, and fortunately, both Army and Air Force had deputed teams called Army Project Management Team, Air Force Project Management Team. About 3 officers, not many, just 3 officers, wing commander, squadron leader level, colonel, full colonel level. They all will be posted to Hyderabad. They will be with the project team to make sure that everything is done correctly and the user requirements are addressed properly, and they will be allowed to participate in all the tests, ground tests, flight tests, any test. So they are open. Any failure, they know this is a failure happened. Later correction also they will see. So it was totally transparent for the Army Air Force because that gives them confidence That when we say we have done a rocket motor firing, they come and see the firing, see the results. They're happy, it's good. If the rocket has exploded, they know something went wrong. Next time we correct it, show it to the army, they're happy. So this is the openness. But when they want to do user trials, there's a separate document generated by Army, by Air Force. There's a protocol. They have to tell how the user trials need to be conducted, where and which missile, which radar, how many missiles, how many radars, what the target characteristics. Everything is defined in the user trial directive that is circulated to us. We go through it and we accordingly prepare. And generally, we found the user trial directive are within the specifications defined in the GSQR or ASQR, whatever we were earlier given. There is no big difference between them. This is how exactly trial to be conducted. Whereas the GSQR will say what is the specifications required for a successful battlefield. So these two are common, complying to each other. So we had no difficulty in showing to the army.
Sir, we are talking about future of warfare, which is becoming very, very unpredictable, very, very cutting edge technologies. So, have these documents undergone some kind of a change where new simulation is employed so that because the people in the defense they will be also technical, but then when they interact with DRDO, is there a war room which can create new situations? These situations might be in accordance to the current weapon capabilities. So, how are these situations defined? The war situations according to which the weapon is developed.
The situation scenario for the Army, Air Force, and Navy, they have their own respective war rooms. They will discuss among themselves. Army, they may invite people from other the departments if they request. Suppose they are thinking of something nuclear, they will request a DAE to come. If they are thinking something from the internal conflicts, they may even call border security people. And they call, so there the DRDO is not a party to the war room scenario simulations, scenario studies. They do themselves. They don't call, there's no requirement for industry to come. Only the three services and the MOD will join because they want to understand what is happening. So MOD will, and they will do this in India. Whereas I was told in other countries like France, they may even involve some media people. They want to get some ideas from the media also they call. Whereas here we don't call media, we call the three services and also MOD. They will call, and depending on the scenario, they may like to call somebody from science and technology, somebody from atomic energy, somebody from chemistry. They will call for a required slot. They don't come attend all the scenario simulations. Scenario simulations are the prerogative of the Army Joint Services, for example. Now there is a CDS will be involved, and they will themselves understand, and maybe they will require MEA to come for some time. MEA also may come with the ideas from MEA side. So this they will discuss. Once they discuss the scenario, maybe for next 10 years, they will discuss for next 10 years. Then they say, okay, what are the weapons required for next 10 years? For example, now we saw a lot of anti-drone requirements. Probably this is an emerging field. It would not have been discussed in the last scenario simulation that there will be hundreds of drones trying to enter our territory. That scenario would not have been there, but we have learned now. Now, next time we will discuss about anti-drone simulation. How do we handle it?
Very nice. This is something which is very curiosity arousing, and I will briefly have the opinion of Professor Kumar from IIT Mumbai, who is joining us here. Professor Kumar, I want to understand that when this war scenario is being developed, at the same time, a lot of new technologies are being developed, by startups. So how do we create a closer interface between, let's say, new space technologies, new surveillance technologies, new game theories? I think they are also entering the war room. How do we make sure that we are at the forefront of these new scenarios which are developed? Because on scenarios, basis of that, a budget of thousands of crores will be allocated to develop new systems, both attack and defense systems. And what will be the characteristics of these? What should be the characteristics of these systems? So, as Dr. Ramarao sir said, that the war rooms are mostly by the tri services and as per need basis. Professor Kumar, do you think that academicians and technical institutions are also being invited at certain times to highlight or to collaborate on the war room scenarios?
Thank you for inviting
sir.
me to this discussion. So, let me bring out a very important aspect, the relationship between academia, our R&D labs, and industry. It goes way long back to several decades. When Dr. Kalam had initiated this projects in DRDO Hyderabad, and the progress went on, a center called the JATP, Joint Advanced Technology Program, was set up in IIC Bangalore, and Dr. Prahlada sponsored several development programs through this center, where the idea was, how do we work for the future? Like, how we develop the technologies for the future. The level of these technologies could be in the level of what we say TRL levels. In the lab scale, we say typically 1 to 3. So we were developing these technologies in the levels of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then when we see a promise, when we see a success in the laboratory scale, then those ideas were taken to the labs, to the R&D labs, and then they were implemented into the larger projects. So basically a problem was split into the smaller modules, and then the academicians, they work in the lab and develop these technologies in the lab scale, and then they were integrated into these advanced systems. So that is how it has been working for last 30, 40 years. Now we have several such centers across the country where the different problems related to the defense are being explored across the country, and we are working into the future as well. Now, coming to the challenge of drones and other relevant technologies, yes, the challenge is big, but what I feel is that yes, we can handle it. The academicians are ready to do the preliminary work in the level of say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once those concepts are demonstrated, then they can be taken at a larger scale, at a larger level, to basically show that they can really work in the field.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you. Thank you for giving us a heads up on joint advanced technology programs. Started under the leadership of Dr. Prahlad Ramarao sir, who's incidentally with us today. Professor Kumar, one more question I'd like to emphasize, that in the development of war room scenarios, is there now, under this program, is there now a increased participation, representation? Because the armed forces, their key role is probably post-war scenario, where maybe in the Iran-Israel war, they see some new trends. Maybe in Russia-Ukraine war, they see some new trends. Is there a module which can conceptualize, or maybe I think Dr. Ramarao sir, I can also ask you to this, answer this question. Either of you can begin. That under DIAT, which is the Defense Institute of Advanced Technologies, is there some kind of curriculum development happening where war room scenarios are discussed? Because eventually development after ideation will incur a huge budget, and this budget needs to be funneled into the right direction. So please, welcoming your thoughts.
Now, see, Army, Air Force, Navy, they have their own institutions in their under their responsibility. Air Force has got Air Warfare School, and Navy has got in Kerala, they have got a school, and Army has got Army school at a number of places. So their schools are custom made, trained for scenario simulations. And they are equipped with that. Some of them even make sand models and theoretical models. MCME, for example, at Hyderabad, they can do very easily this modeling, and also they can do. So we are convinced that Army, Air Force, Navy will do their own study in their own colleges within the uniform, under the uniform they will do, and then once they arrive at the scenarios, they will approach the next level, how to get the work done by industry or academy or R&D. This is first thing. I think Army, Air Force, Navy, in fact, for example, there is the Army Design Bureau, developed under the army, directly under the vice chief, who are looking at designs, futuristic designs. Same thing happening in Air Force, same thing happening in Navy. So they are quite equipped, and most of the uh, officers, they undergo the training in there are training center like in Ooty. There is one art center where they are all trained, where the DRDO, the DRDO academy people go and give a talk, futuristic technology. I have given a talk in that OT for try services. So there is enough material made available to the Army, Air Force, Navy for carrying out a futuristic study, number one. Number two is, as what Dr. Sudarshan Kumar told, now not only in JTP Bengaluru, but at Bangalore, at Mumbai, at Hyderabad, at Chennai, at Calcutta, at Kharagpur, there are centers of excellence developed and established by DRDO at each of the academic institutions, and maybe more also. There will be 10. Assume there are 10 centers of excellence in 10 leading academic institutions. Like IIT Bombay has got a center, I know. IIT Madras has a center. IAC has a center. Jadavpur University has a center. So there is no issue. There are 10 centers assumed. Now, there in each center, there is a two-way approach they do. There top down and bottom up. Bottom up is what the professors, academic people think. There are some new science, new mathematics, new technology emerging from the academic institution which can be adopted by defense. So they are encouraged to throw up bottom up approach of new technologies based on their understanding of the scenario. This is number one. Number two, top down. The Army, Air Force, Navy, Defense laboratories, and DRDO headquarters, they give top down. That is, suppose we think we want to make a 10,000 kilometer cruise missile. Suppose they come to a conclusion, I want a 10,000 kilometer cruise missile to be developed in the country, then they will give this top down demand to the concerned academic institution to do the relevant research and come out with solution. So both,
Got it, sir.
yeah,
Yes.
both are made available, and this is a very strong network. Now the success depends on how who are the leaders and how they implement it. The
Thank you,
mechanism
sir.
mechanism is established.
Thank you, sir. That's a great input, sir. That's a really interesting input, and we are coming back to academia. I'm glad that this session is, centered around academia and deep tech institutions and DRDO. This is wonderful. So once again, Professor Kumar, I have to ask that once Dr. Prahlad sir said that this research is downloaded, what is the role of IIT Mumbai in promoting deep tech startups like defense and space? What are the government partnerships? And also the role of Tata chair, because you are the Tata chair professor. So can you shed some light on that, sir?
Yeah, thank you. So basically, IIT Bombay promotes innovation and incubation through several of the routes. We have a incubation center which is running very successfully since 2004, called as Science Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And once the companies which are mentored in this science center for 3 years, and we get them connected to the market, we get them connected to the various funding agencies, and as they graduate, we then request them they can move to our research park where we offer them more space and more connect. And then eventually they do get into the market and supply the basically advanced systems to both Indian Navy, sorry, to Indian Navy, Air Force, as well as the Army. For example, Idea Forge is one such startup. So, which started from, like, if you remember our Three Idiots movie, the first quadcopter which was flown in that movie was developed at IIT Bombay. And subsequently, they started from there. And today, Idea Forge has become a company listed in the stock market. Indian entrepreneurship is at the top, and we do support these deep tech companies in the areas of defense very well to the extent possible. So that's all I
Sir,
would like to say.
yeah.
And maybe adding little more to this war room situation. So not only within India, we also send our officers abroad to different schools to get the advanced training to basically get idea of their minds, what the other countries are thinking, how they are planning their war games, and then appropriately prepare ourselves as well to the different thinking modules. Thank you.
Sir,
Yeah.
yes. Sir.
I want
Sir,
to add one more point, very important, relatively new development over the last, say, couple of years. There are so many academic institutions in the country, like universities, like Amity University, who have started a master's course, or some of them even a graduation course in defense technologies. This has been approved by AICTE. Syllabus has been worked out, and they have been allowed to offer a course in defense technology. I remember at least half a dozen universities who have got the permission of AICTE to start the courses. So the industries now will have more chances of getting young graduates and postgraduates tailor-made from universities in the country towards defense technologies. This is one.
I believe you had a great pivotal role in shaping the minds, because after the Operation Sindoor, I have personally seen almost 10 to 12, more than a dozen of your podcasts. And thank you for sparing out time for us. I think Professor Kumar has to join another meeting, but quickly, Professor Kumar, one more last question for you. That with the Tata Technologies and Tata Defense actively doing a lot of work in the background with the new plant coming up also, how well is Tata Defense collaborating with IIT Mumbai on what are the prime things? And please, if you can share some light on that.
Yeah, so Tata's has several collaborations with IIT Bombay. It spans into the areas of not only in the defense, but into the different areas of the technologies which are relevant to the social entrepreneurship. So we have very active group working in the different areas with Tata's. I think it is not appropriate to disclose all the areas here, but yes, we have very vibrant not only with Tata, with other all other players as well.
So I believe that probably Tata is one of the leading ones, but with Bharat
One more
Forge,
thing I want to share is I was at IIT Guwahati day before yesterday, and they have started a Defense Science and Technology Forum. And in this forum, almost all IITs are partners, and also DIAT is a partner, and Army, Air Force, Navy are involved. And their job is how to support the ecosystem in the country with top level academic institutions to see that the defense needs are addressed. Addressed. This is a new phenomenon. I just happened to be there, and they were it's just cooking up. They are the first meeting, I believe, and they said we will fine tune it after the second meeting. And one more thing is, see, we are all aware of our honorable Prime Minister talking Vikasit Bharat. Okay. If you want to have Vikasit Bharat, first step required is Surakshit Bharat. Unless Bharat is fully defended and strong enough to be strong and independent, you cannot go for Vikasit Bharat. So Surakshit Bharat first step, Vikasit Bharat will follow. So we have to see that we are all working towards a Surakshit Bharat with the defense, and primarily defense means it is embedded with so many science and technology elements. That is Surakshit Bharat. Once you have a Surakshit Bharat, automatically your Vikasit will take place. This is the conviction, and I am sure all people understand for a strong defense, strong science, strong technology essential.
Very true. So, strong science. Thank you, Dr. Shivraman, for joining us. Dr. Shivraman is the co-founder of Big Bang Boom Solutions, and yeah, it's a very popular anti-drone system which has been seen its utility in Operation Sindoor. So, thank you, Dr. Shiva, for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry I was a few minutes late.
So, Dr. Ramarao, sir, one more question. That how is the DIAT linkage with the all technology institutions, and what special is being done in DIAT?
DIAT it's not a wide scope institution. I wanted to make it wider, but somehow it is still a limited scope university. The university now, and they give three things they do. One is they give a postgraduate degree in all defense technologies with projects directly linked to defense systems and products. All the project work is only given by the DRDO or Army or Air Force. This is one thing which is dominantly addressing the defense needs, number one. Number two, there are at least about 100 PhDs coming out in addition to postgraduates who are all given again defense projects. They are basically long term science research intensive projects for which the supervisors may be from DIAT as a professor, or the supervisor may be from a DRDO lab or any other outside lab. They are allowing two research supervisors per student. So the student will have one outside expert, one inside expert. So this is being done. Second, third is they have opened this new domain called technology management. That is,
Sir.
there is a separate department of technology management which is extremely popular with Army, Air Force, and Navy. They send every year the officers to do technology management because that's what they are going to do in the Army, in the Air Force, Navy. They want to know how a known technology can be managed to meet the defense needs. Suppose you are talking of a futuristic anti-drone system, the technology management will say what is the technology available at Amity University. Can I use it for my anti-drone defense? See, this is the technology management. These officers are going to learn for 2 years. They'll do a live project when they are there. This is a very popular department of technology management, probably only one which is addressing the defense technology.
This is really nice that you bring it up, because only in the last session I was talking about that there is a management in hospital sector, like hospital management MBA. There's a retail management MBA in France, in Toulouse. There is a big school of aerospace management. So are we not falling short of defense management? So I'm glad that one of the critical questions I think has been answered. And you have been at the helm as the Vice Chancellor of the Institute, sir. Sir, another one thing is if I have to draw parallels between Army and let's say Territorial Army. So people who could not join defense forces, people who are in late 30s, early 40s, very talented people, Are you also considering a short-term 3 months course at DIAT for absorbing professionals who have gained a lot of experience, let's say in AI ML today, let's say in digital twins? Is this something which is being considered, sir?
We are training, as far as training is concerned, the DIAT has a year-long training requirement from 15 days to 2 months. It is going on regularly. But the incumbents for the training is coming from the three services, mostly from three services. Also, there are people from DRDO laboratories also who come. And ISRO also sends people for these training activities. For example, you are talking of satellite defense. I am sure ISRO will be very much interested to send their scientists to come to this course at DIAT. So the people who are all on invited basis, either from services or from ISRO or DAE, Department of Atomic Energy, or DRDO. We have not gone to border security forces and other forces as of now. It is not in the mandate for DAT to touch other not military, non-military forces like border security or any other BRO. They are not so far not covered. But if there is a need from the army, maybe CDS may be the right person. If he gives a directive that why not DAT look after for example, Assam rifles, for example. He wants Assam rifles to be also considered for training. If a directive or a demand comes from the Ministry of Defense headquarters, I think DIT will be happy to expand the student community. They can take from other semi-paramilitary or paramilitary, also they can take. But as of today, it is not seriously addressed. I agree.
Sir, wonderful, sir. How do we ensure, sir, that more young startups like post Operation Sindoor, a lot of new institutions would have probably seen a interface of working together. So, Dr. Shiva, can you just tell us about what kind of systems have you been developing of late? Because we understand that you've been all over the news because of Operation Sindoor. So, Dr. Shiva, over to you.
Right. Thank you. Big Bang Boom as a company has been focusing on three major areas. We work on electronic warfare, which includes the anti-drone systems and certain components or certain aspects of cybersecurity. We also have a AI vertical where we focus on developing decision support systems. These are sensor-based technologies that can enable faster and more intuitive decision making on the battlefield. Uh, a number of products in this include our top of the line simulators that we developed for the Indian Army, the Air Force simulator that we are now developing for HAL. We also look at see through armor and upgrade to situational awareness, currently installed on top of the BMP2, etc. We also have a niche segment on nanotech where we work on metamaterials and nanotech based polymer solutions that can be used for firefighting as a non lethal deterrence technology in naval shipyards. And we are currently we've just received a project for developing radar obscurant metamaterials. So Big Bang Boom as a company, as we look at ourselves as being a diversified, frugal R&D firm. We have three major verticals that we work on. Of course, the most talked about or the most popular is the anti-drone system. And given whatever happened at Operation Sindoor, I think we had a very hands-on experience in not only how the systems performed, but also the capabilities of our own engineers and team to be able to respond in such a high-pressure situation.
So, Dr. Shiva, this recent conflict, this recent war upon us, has brought on the ingenuity of the Indian entrepreneurship. Since you mentioned about the drones, counter drone systems, I'll go back to just before you joined. We were discussing about the new war situations, new threat emerging, and investing thousands of crores of rupees to develop new, grade or level of weapons. So, we were discussing the war rooms where new kind of threats are the possibility of new kind of threats are defined. Their parameters, key parameters are defined. So when you say simulators, you developed simulators for Air Force and Army. Have you been into those situations where you suggested to the defense forces that, okay, this kind of new threat maps, this kind of new threat, instruments could be seen, or you are given certain parameters and you define everything according to what you've been, handed down? So do you offer some solutions additional to what you've been told that this could be, and yeah.
Well, I think that's all that always goes hand in hand, because most of the projects that we do, we start off with the problem statement from the end user. This either takes the form of an IDEX problem statement or from one of the compendiums that are released by the Indian Army. We sort of pick up a problem statement, develop a customized technology solution for that, and that's where we begin. But during the process of development, we obviously learn a lot about that particular domain. So we also look at a feedback loop with the Indian Armed Forces, where we do educate them on the emerging threats that are there and try and suggest to them as to what tweaks in the technology are required to be able to effectively counter the same. Like, for example, if you take in the current scenarios, anti-drone systems the specs have been finalized for the last 2 3 years. Multiple rounds of procurements have happened around the country. But then the new FPV drones that came in were a different kind of a threat. They were a different kind of a threat because they were primarily RF based drones. They were not the so over the last 5 years the industry has been moving from RF drones to RF silent drones to swarm drones, etc. And most of the countermeasures were trying to focus on these kind of threats. But the FPVs turned out to be a very asymmetric threat that came up, where they were continued to be RF based systems, but they either had a fiber optic based communication channel, or they were just too fast to be picked up by any of the conventional systems. So it was good that we were able to respond in time and provide the army with not only the information but also what is the most effective way to counter these kind of threats. So I think, see, one of the things that we have realized in defense is that there's absolutely no chance or no hope in trying to work in silos. There needs to be a good communication, and as long as the armed forces and the industry work together, I think nothing is impossible.
Wonderful. One more question, basically two more questions, because as much as I learn, I have new things, precipitating. There are a lot of gaming championships happening in the country which were not there, a huge amount of money being invested. How closely do you think that we are able to capture that young talent which is being groomed by these gaming, championships? Every teenager has a gaming phone and they are honing those skills. Do you think enough is being done to utilize that talent for developing simulations, game theories, and is the defense actively looking at that as a platform for new talent? I'm asking you because you're the youngest one in the lot, so you might know the most.
You're very kind. I don't think so. I don't think there is any active engagement where they are scouting specifically for gaming talent to be able to help with the thing. But then there is a lot of wargaming based approaches. I think these are very well established in the defense ecosystem now. There are already a lot of wargaming activity that goes on. This happens either at CENJOS or the Center for Land Warfare Studies. There are multiple key organizations that work on it. Actually, the wargaming technology that's being developed and that is currently being developed is far more sophisticated than most of the, let's say, MMORPGs that the teenagers are continuing to play today. So one, if the question is saying that can there be a can we leverage some version of a synergy? Sure, why not? But then is something actively being done to see if the gaming industry can contribute to the defense forces? I don't really think so.
Okay.
To my extent of knowledge, I could of course be wrong or I may not be aware of it. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think there is a direct engagement currently going.
In your industry, the drone counter drone solutions and the advanced versions that you're working on, how big is the cyber security component or the software component, and what are the what are the challenges that you think could be important to be addressed?
Right. So I think cybersecurity is a very, very important thing now, especially in the drone ecosystem. If you look at it, it's a well-known fact that today the supply chain is there from around the world. And one of the very, very critical aspects of building defense technologies is to ensure not only supply chain resilience, but also ensure that, let us say, if we are sourcing any components or parts from not very, very friendly countries, then we need to ensure that, they are safe, right? So while we do have neighbors that are manufacturing powerhouses and sometimes the supply chains are linked, the cyber physical layer, the cyber security layer is actually the very key element in ensuring that we get completely uncompromised and capable systems that can be delivered to the Indian armed forces. So I think cybersecurity plays a big role. Having control over the software and having the software having ultimate control over the hardware goes in a long way in ensuring that there are no backdoors in the system, and also the systems can operate in the way as defined by the end user.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing very precise inputs, and I think that sets a tone for me going back to Dr. Prahlad Ramarao, sir. So, Dr. Ramarao, sir, I have this question that since you've been the chief controller of DRDO, director of DRDL, and also the vice chancellor of a very prestigious institute, if we have to look at the cyber security aspect of the entire supply chain of, let's say, the Akash missile system, will be your ask or your requirements for institutions like NFSU to collaborate with you on? What aspects would you like to check from the very sourcing of raw materials to sterilizing the process and the software?
What we are doing is, see, there are OS, OS of every chip, every computer. OS has a software which is normally not controlled by us, controlled by the supplier. And the OS is a very sensitive software, and we in fact, there was a movement about a decade ago. Can India develop its own OS so that you become independent? Then your software will be more protected. Nobody can enter into your chip or a processor. They can. So that was done. It started by some laboratories, but I don't think it went all the way to success. They tried something, and probably it needs to be reconsidered. What Colonel Chaudhary told, the software that is embedded in uh, every system. See, today every item is software intensive, software embedded. Every item. You buy a walkie-talkie, there is software. You buy a TV, you buy a sensor, there is software. You buy a warhead, there is software. So everywhere there is software. So we should have a strong Indian-made our own OS and our own application software.
Thank you,
Both
sir.
operating software, application software has to be, so that has to be as a national movement. National movement has to be taken up by, I don't know whether MOD should do or DRDO should do. I think it is already late. We have lost more than a decade in not developing our own OS. So
So,
probably this is a time government should think seriously how to handle. Probably Dr. Chaudhary, Colonel Chaudhary may be the right person to advise the government how to go about.
so can you tell us about the new kind of weapon system that you are working on? What is next for Big Bang Boom? Like new systems are probably the need of the hour, upgrading. And are you also helping the defense forces with any kind of upgrades? Because legacy systems like ships, bigger platforms like ships and jets, fighter jets, they are legacy systems on which modules can be upgraded. Is there something similar which you are working on, and can you shed some light on the new CUAS?
I think the entire drone anti-drone play is very similar to how guns and bulletproof armor have developed over the years. So as we develop new countermeasures, there are better drones that keep coming up. and then you need to develop countermeasures for this. So I think currently there's a lot of emphasis in what is known as cyber takeover. So the army no longer wants us to be able to jam or destroy a drone, but they want to be able to try and see if we can take control of the drone and sort of try and see if we can use an enemy's drones against themselves. The other thing that we've been focusing on is basically directed energy weapons. So we're looking at high power microwave or laser based counter drone system. Both of these technologies, I think, are a good 2.5 years away. Except for DRDO's laser that's already functional now. I think we are very excited about what is in store for us as the field goes on.
Sir, you said that it was Dr. Dhawan who found the talent in Dr. Kalam. I read it in one of your interviews.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you had at one point of time 1,000 scientists also working for you.
Yes.
So, sir, have you documented the journey of identifying a leader? You have been a leader, Dr. Dhawan sir has been a leader, Dr. Kalam sir has been a leader. Is there a special way of identifying, fast track leaders? One of those leaders is Dr. Shiva also. How do we identify them? How do we fast track the country's progress?
You see, this is a very, not only is an interesting question you are asking, it's a relevant question because today the government of India has to do many, many things to do whatever I told you, Surakshit Bharat, Vikasit Bharat, science and technology, it has to do. For that, it requires a number of leaders. I say this, Dhawan located Kalam. You can say Kalam located Prahlad, okay? Now,
Sir.
we need more Kalams in the country to take the responsibility of multiple things happening in India. Well, one Kalam gone, we should have had 10 Kalams or 20 Kalams. How to
Sir.
identify the Kalam? This is a good question you asked and it's relevant. In fact, I have told one of the HR students who doing PhD in HR I said, I will be your guide. You bring out a book, a thesis for how to identify the person to lead such different types of work, health sciences, medical, the education, or in defense activities, or technology, laser, whatever you take, you have to locate a leader. How do you locate a leader? He is not visible. Many times the leaders are very quiet people. Nobody will notice them, but they are the leaders. Sometimes the leaders are very vocal, but they don't have much stuff inside. They are only vocal. So how do you identify? I'm trying to bring out a thesis from a PhD student on leadership, how to identify and then quantify the leadership qualities and say, this is how I rate leadership. We want 20 top people in the country for the government. At least we should give them 50 names after we evaluated them separately and give. So somebody can choose. I'm trying to bring, there is no formula, there is no theory, there is no equation. How probably Dhawan was picked or Prahlada was picked, and I'm sure Kalam would have liked to have more people like me, and Dhawan would have liked more people like Kalam. So there is a document required. I am trying to work at a thesis. I am not successful yet to identify the PhD student, but I will do it. I will do it, and I want to bring out a book for that. But till the time a book comes out or a formula comes out, we have to depend on the choice of the people who are doers, who are done successfully completed either the development or offering for a product for the user or demonstrating the performance. We need to do it today without any formula behind us, but what is our mental assessment we have to do. But my job is to find a one PhD thesis for the government to see how to pick a good leader. Every time you
Perfect,
can
sir.
depend. This is what I am trying to do. Let me see. And if I succeed, I will share with you.
Sir, that is best wishes to you and best wishes to our country because we need that. We need to know that magic recipe of finding good leaders. It cannot be a matter of only chance. It has to be a matter of how do we choose this process, how do we fine tune, how do we document. So the idea of curating this talk was that you would have had interactions with different people in defense, different people in the academic setup. Most likely also you would have met or spoken to Dr. Prahlad Ramarao sir. The idea was to create a more closer dialogue to see what could be required to fuel this next wave we always keep talking about. Also to take very, very expert and measured words of our CDS General Chauhan sir talking about jointness 2.0. So while we are talking about developing new missile systems like Akash, or you talking about developing new counter UAV systems, is there a common level of platform which can be done together, or these are being developed in two separate silos where there is very minimal interaction? Which and how do you visualize it? Is it in terms of the jointness where we have to see more seamless development of our future armory?
So the way I think about it is that the nature of the threat usually determines the countermeasure. So the Akash missiles, etc., usually used against much larger threats like, let's say, a fighter aircraft, etc. But then sometimes these larger missiles cannot be used against smaller drones because the missile is far more expensive than, let's say, a drone that costs 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs or something of that sort. So, what is known as a layered integrated approach is very essential. But when you talk about a layered integrated approach, it's not necessary that the technologies must be developed hand in hand. As long as the ICDs are available, they can talk to each other. I think life will still work for them.
Thank you. Um, uh, so you are continuously in touch with the requirements of the forces. How often do you visit our academic institutions and inspire more young graduates to become entrepreneurs in deep tech like defense and space, which is also the need of the hour, which has been proved by this recent conflict?
We have very strong academic partnerships, both in our R&D and in our through our internship program and in our co-development, etc. But if you ask me, do we go around doing talks to inspire people? Probably not. I think we have our hands full business right now. But then we do have a very progressive internship program. A lot of students keep coming. We at any point of time there may be 10, 15 interns in our office. And I think that's one of the ways in which we keep in touch with the academia and try and ensure that the best talent can reach the industry.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva, for taking out time.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
we had a great interaction, and I think that this results into more fruitful, development, more productive, collaborations to come out of this.
Sure.
Thank you. Jai Hind. Namaste. Great to have you.